Welcome to Fortune Cookies Tarot. This is Mixtape Monday. Welcome, my Seekers, Tarot Maniacs, and Tarot fam. So we've got a jam-packed week for you this week. We've got 2 for Tuesday tomorrow. It's already in the can, ready to go. If you're a member, you've already seen it. We have Wicked Wednesdays on Wednesday. Thursday, we are going to have Time Travel Thursday. I also have a bonus 3-part episode of Time Travel Thursday that is dropping on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday this week. So you're getting bonus videos from me. And Friday, we are going to have our general audience into we're going to have our members into our general audience live. Friday is going to be our live day with Tarot Happy Hour, so you can kick off your weekend. I am going to be live on the Hipsy app and on Calendly all week long. Hipsy, not only are you getting new reader discounts and off the first 10 minutes or off the first 10 minutes, you're getting repeat discounts on there, and you're also getting scheduling discounts. And Hipsy is giving 7.77% back on all of your readings from now till February 20th. So get in there. You're going to get some cash back on Hipsy. But if you like to schedule through the Calendly link, you can do that. Members, I want to remind you, I dropped a community post where you get your discounted link for any readings with me, and that is through my Calendly app. So I also want to remind you guys that Thursday, I am going to be live with the lovely lady Letitia. I'm going to be over there doing readings for her community. Come on over and join us. She's got a great community. We had a lot of fun the last time we did it. We're going to do it again this Thursday. I will remind you guys of the time and put the link up on Thursday morning. So we're doing great. Life is going great. I hope you guys had a great holiday weekend. Valentine's Day was terrific for Greg and I. We went to a little brewery here called Alternate Ending. It's a converted movie theater. They show movies and they brew beer and name it after movies. And so Greg had Mount Doom from the Lord of the Rings universe, and it was very smoky and it was very delicious. It was wonderful. But they have sourdough pizza, and that's what I was there for. So let's bring up that card view, guys. If you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and hit it. We are zooming to 10,000 subscribers. That is a goal that I want to get to. So if you're not subscribed to me, please do so right now. I promise you, you're going to get a lot of content. You're going to be very, very busy watching great content on this channel. So today, Mixtape Monday, we pull questions from your chat. 8 days ago, Marnie Hall asked me, what will happen to the Gates Foundation? She says Bill is still chair. And this morning, while I was having my delicious coffee, I watched Scott Roos of the Behavior Panel and Behavior X. And he unpacked a Bill Gates video interview, and he was showing all of the stress points. So Bill is now refuting all of the comments that were read in the Epstein file drop, specifically the one where he said Bill Gates had tears in his eyes because it was a draft email. It wasn't sent out. So let's see. That Gates Foundation does not exist without him. So I think even if he does step down, he's still going to be there behind the screen and allowing others to kind of step to the front for him. So the magician, that is our wizard behind the screen. The work that is intended through the Gates Foundation is going somewhat awry. I think they're having trouble keeping the path that they wanted. World domination. Did you say world domination? I did. I said world domination. So what is the power structure of the Gates Foundation? Let's take a look at that. Magician, there he is. It kind of looks like him. And look, we're getting the same cards again, guys. Same cards. There is an internal power struggle. I think initially they were very successful. There were a lot of things that were on their side, but now we're seeing things kind of split off. So what is the future for this foundation in 2026? Let's see the trajectory for the timeline that we're on right now. What are we looking at? 3 of Wands there. There's some interesting things that they're not vetting people correctly anymore, and the power structure is gone. I have good news for you guys. This foundation is probably going to crumble. I don't think it's going to have the same kind of oomph that it had before. However, I do think that this is a splitter. This is somebody that's on the inside, and they are going to move ahead and start another foundation. So let's be mindful of new foundations that are springing up that maybe have the same kind of funding that the Gates Foundation had. So follow the money, follow the checks, and we're going to see where all these bugaboos are going to go. They're going to go in a different direction. So these monstrous people. So they are going to be following the leader to another foundation. They're going to find places to put their money. So one of the things that came up in the latest Epstein drop was designer babies. Let's talk about some designer babies and cloning and possibly making some skin samples and things like that. So was this designer baby thing legit? Were they really doing that? The Lovers, they weren't quite there yet. Not quite there yet. The system was not working. So were they close? Were they close? 5 of Cups. No. I think that they abandoned this practice at some point. I don't want to say they abandoned it all the way, but I think they had to go back to the drawing board and kind of revamp the process that they had in place. I think they lost their scientist. I think their scientist that was really keen on taking the funding and seeing if they could make this happen. You know, little Dr. Frankenstein here. What happened to this scientist? So I don't know who this scientist is, but I think he is no longer among us. I think he is off on another adventure. And I think it is because he didn't want to follow the rules and what they wanted to actually do. I think, you know, scientists are curious by nature. They wouldn't be scientists if they weren't. They want to find out how things work. They want to find out how things perform. And I think that this was an exciting moment where funding would be given for experimentation. I can't put it any other way, experimentation. I do think that this leans into a bit of eugenics. I think that they were trying to build beautiful people. For what purpose, I'm not going to say on my YouTube channel, but I think they were trying to build a beautiful fembot, so to speak. And that would have been possibly the population on certain islands. I'm going to put that plural. I think they, you know, Fantasy Island was one of my favorite TV shows. I loved Fantasy Island. And the origin story of Fantasy Island was Aaron Spelling and some of the other producers were having trouble coming up with a topic for a new TV show that was going to be a hit. And in exasperation, Aaron Spelling said, "What do you want me to do? Make an island where everyone's blankety blank fantasies comes true?" And it clicked. And if you go back and you watch it, there is nary a bra in sight, and all of the women are in these harem kind of situations. Often they are being rescued. The women are always, showing up very dowdy and like they're looking for a husband. It is a very male dominated series. If you can watch it and kind of put your current 2026 morals in check, it's still a delightful little show with some fun storylines and some creepy storylines, but some fun storylines, like kids that want to get their parents back together. Those were some of the more innocent ones. But it was not an innocent time in Hollywood. Sorry, it wasn't. And I think that there was, in some of this designer human creation, I think there was kind of an idea of, let's create a fantasy island with individuals that have no family, no track record, no history, and they will just be created to serve. So I don't want to use the SLAVE word, but I think really it was an attempt to create that. And I think that the scientist that was involved is no longer with us because he said, this is kind of creepity creep. And I'm going to drop that right there. That was a question from me though, guys. So let's skip on over and we are going to just dip in to Bill and Hillary again. Humanaki, I see you out there, said that they are testifying because Congress threatened them with contempt if they didn't testify. You've got to threaten people like this. Otherwise, they'll never do as they're told, and they believe that they're untouchable. Are they responding to the threat of contempt? Let's see if Bill is responding to the threat of contempt. I don't want anyone to know about my secret, and my secret's when my pants are off. We already saw him in the hot tub with his pants off. So Bill is of the opinion that it's unavoidable. What about Hill? 3 of Pentacles. Hill is going to use this as a little bit of smokescreen so she can throw some of the enemies under the bus. That's what she's going to do. She has a tendency to talk over people, and I think that she's going to do that in this as well. So she might wind up with contempt anyway because of her conduct. But you'll notice if you ever go and you look at some of the interviews with her that are more combative, she actually talks over people and escalates her cadence and her volume. It's very interesting. She actually swells up when she does it. So, she'll get very haughty. That's really the word that I use for her. So just for fun, is Hillary going to throw Bill under the bus on this one? Is she going to do that? Is she going to throw him under the bus? The World. 10 of Cups. 2 of Wands. Not yet. I think once Bill is no longer with us, she may discover some things. She may discover some things about her husband. Will Hillary throw Bill under the bus posthumously? No, she's not. 6 of Swords. She's going to do whatever she can to preserve the heritage of his legacy. Why? That just seems very odd to me. Why would she do that? Why would she do that? she's going to say that everybody got him all wrong, that the Jennifer Flowers and Monica Lewinsky situations were really anomalies in an otherwise fun, playboy kind of life. You know, he really wasn't sticking it where he shouldn't have all the time, just a couple of times. And then the media just kind of ran with that. And, you know, the dumb people like you and me that eat government cheese, we just kind of bought into that. We just, you know, everyone loves a villain. No one loves a powerful woman like her. No one loves an outspoken woman like her. They're all vilified. So she's going to say he was vilified, she was hillified, and I'm going to leave that there before those black helicopters start circling again.
Stop.
So we're going to jump back to Bill Gates. And again, this is Humanaki. Humanaki, you were my favorite. So Humanaki says that not only is Humanaki ready for the show, but she says that Bill Gates comes off as quite stupid. He seems quite awkward to me, and that he is a shill for who? Did I turn into an owl? Who? Shill. For who is he? Is Bill Gates a shill for the Owl organization? Judgment. They had something on him. And they took his money. They've got something on him. So if we see the who, I'm not talking about Bohemian Grove, the who, if the who turns on him, we're going to see him sink like a stone. So are they planning on doing that? 7 of Pentacles, they are watching his every move. 8 of Pentacles, don't do a thing, darling. Don't do a thing. 5 of Pentacles. The Hierophant, they are his leader. They are handling all of the goods, but they've taken the power away from him. Are these interviews that he's doing, are they being dictated? 4 of Wands, yes, he's got information from them. 10 of Swords, they want him saying no more, no less. No more, no less. So he still has some puppet strings on him. And I thank you, Humanaki, for that question, because I didn't know how I felt about that. So now I had quite a long chat that was going on here about, and it starts with Margie. Hi, Margie. I read that Prince Edward's response as I still read Prince Edward's response as if Andrew and Fergie are victims. So who was Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh? Who was he referring to when he talked about the victims? Was it Andrew? Actually, I'm going to shuffle that again. Sorry, guys. Just bear with me. We're using the Housewives Tarot today. The royal family. Specifically, Andrew. Fergie. The unnamed girls. Virginia Giuffre. The royal family. Temperance. The royal family, they need to kind of come up. I think that Edward is referring to the royal family's inability to really respond to these things outright. Andrew, not referring to Andrew. Fergie, not referring to Fergie. Look at this. 2 of Cups, 3 of Cups. She is such an outlaw. The unnamed victims, yes. And Virginia Giuffre. He's got some different opinions about Virginia Giuffre, the late Virginia Giuffre. He's got some different opinions. I am psychically getting it's because of the age of consent. When she was there, allegedly, when those pictures were taken in Ghislaine Maxwell's apartment, she was of legal age of consent in the United Kingdom. So we've got that going on. Interesting. So is Edward distancing himself from Andrew, his brother? Is he distancing himself from his brother? Absolutely. So I think Andrew had a lot of trouble managing the baser instincts of his personality and his humanity. And as a royals are supposed to have supreme control over their behavior, their conduct, who they mix with, who they mess with. And I think that Edward is quite disgusted at the lack of control over his brother's conduct. I think that's what we have here. So poor Edward. Okay, kids. Here is a question from an Anna T. Anna T. The gorgeous hair in the profile picture. She believes that Andrew lied through his teeth to the Queen, Prince Philip, and King Charles, then Prince Charles. So there are reports that the settlement that was given to Virginia Giuffre was borrowed from several sources, including the Queen, Prince Philip. I believe it was funds left him from Prince Philip, or funds that were laying around for Prince Philip, and also King Charles and some other sources. So did Andrew flat out lie to his mother, the Queen? Yes. He said that these were falsehoods. He wasn't really there, that sort of thing. What about Prince Philip? Prince Philip, I think, shushed him and said, don't say another word. Don't say anything else about what you did or you didn't do, and plausible deniability. And we are just going to make sure that we craft a story. Now, I know that the settlement, I believe, happened after Prince Philip was gone, but there were rumblings about this. So what did Andrew tell his father about Jeffrey Epstein when there were rumblings? Nothing, because his father shushed him and told him not to say another word. What about King Charles, Prince Charles? Then did he lie to his brother? 10 of lies. 10 of lies. I just said 10 of lies. 10 of wands. He convoluted the story. So what did the Queen really believe? Did she believe that darling boy Andrew was innocent? No. She did not believe that he was innocent. I do think she understood that he was up to a little bit of no good. And I think she was allowing him to have a little bit of no good as fun. But I don't think she realized quite how dark and deep and gross that fun went. So what about Prince Philip? Prince Philip saw everything for what it was worth, but I don't think that he was very concerned about it. Again, I don't think he knew all of the information. I think he knew that there were dalliances that were being had and relationships that were being had, relations that were being had. And I think he kind of poo-pooed it as he would for himself. Now, I actually lost a friend because I didn't believe that Prince Philip was a really, really terrible, terrible person that they had described him as. Let's just put it this way. Apparently, this former friend of mine thought that there was an event at Charles and Diana's wedding hosted by Prince Philip where they served a certain kind of sushi and other tiny delights to the guests there. And I said, well, you got to give me some more information on this. Can't just say it. You've got to give me some more details on it. And they didn't have any. And so we parted as friends because I want to hear some of the kernels of truth to this. Like, show me that there was a party invite. Show me that there was an event that all of these creepity creeps went to. So I think that Prince Philip was of the understanding that when one is a prince, one does step out and have some fun. And I think he thought that Andrew was involved in having some fun and that it was just locker room stuff, boy business, sowing his wild oats. And I think he admonished his son about not having better discernment about who he was getting into these situationships with. So I think that was really the way that Prince Philip looked at it. Like, boys will be boys. And this is a dumb boy who is not covering his tracks very well. I think maybe he said, you need to cover your tracks a little bit better. But as it got deeper and deeper, I think that Prince Philip said, maybe there's some more to this, but I don't want to know about it. Plausible deniability. I don't want to know about it. What about King Charles? King Charles, I think he flat out lied to and said, oh, I'm only there for a financial reason. I'm only there for business reasons. I'm doing this for you, blah, 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 blah. I think that is what he told Charles. And I think Charles couldn't be bothered to divine the truth of that situation. So that's a lot of lying, a lot of lies coming out of that York house. So little part to this question, there's a little nuance to it. Virginia Giuffre could have refused the settlement that was offered. Why did they not refuse the settlement? What was the concern there? There's going to be more information that came out. Justice would have landed on her. At some point, I think Virginia Giuffre becomes culpable for acquisition. I think she becomes part of the machine of acquisition. Is the issue her age at the time in the United Kingdom? That part of it, I think, becomes very complicated as well, because she was of age in the country in which she was in, not of age in her country of origin. Mind you, for my friends that are in abroad and in the United Kingdom, in the United States, our states have different ages of consent. So while it might be 16 in one state, it may be 14 in another. Our driver's licenses are the same way. Drinking and voting age remains 18 for voting, 21 for drinking across the board. But with age of consent, the states do determine their own, they have their own levels of age of consent. So I believe in Florida it's 17, but I could be wrong on that. But certainly I know in the United Kingdom it is 16. And in that photograph, I do believe that she was 16 or older, which just baffles me, because like I was not traveling internationally under the age of 18 without my parents knowing about it. Once upon a time I'd had an issue with a particular tech company because my son had a particular cell phone from them, and someone had purchased a whole slew of iTunes cards in a Southeast Asian country using a clone of his phone. And when I was fighting with them, they had actually said to me, my son was, I think, 9 or 10 at the time. And they said, well, how do you know he wasn't out of the country? I was like, well, because he's 9. I'm pretty sure he's not in the country. So I do think it's very suspicious that she was traveling about. Travel was very different then, but so definitely worried about some information coming out about her, hence the settlement. So if you guys remember from last week, I pulled one card to see if Epstein was still alive, because we do have that video and photograph. Sure looks a lot like him. I got a lot of questions. Crazy Mermaid was one. Who else asked? There were a few people here that were like, is he in Israel? Is he around? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Let's see. Is Jeffrey Epstein, assuming that my read on him the last time was correct, that yes, he is still alive, 6 feet over the ground. Is he in Israel? Is he in Israel? The moon, concealed. Are we going to see him again? King of Wands, 10 of Swords. No. Jeffrey Epstein, the character, is dead and dusted. They got rid of him. Now he is something else. What is he now? Page of Wands, not doing the same kind of dirty deeds, done dirt cheap, that he was doing before. He is out of the fray, doesn't have to worry about being in any trouble. What's his life like now? What is his life like now? Seven of Pentacles, a lot of review of all the crazy stuff that was going on back there. Judgment, Strength in reverse, 7 of Wands up top, a lot of sevens, a lot of chaos there. I think he does miss the high life that he was living. I think there was a significant high life that was going on. Who doesn't want to be surrounded by models and billionaires? Like, who doesn't want to be on a yacht or a delightful tropical island, semi-tropical island? Who wouldn't want that? Getting massages in the middle of your living room. I do think that there is some level of concern from him for his future, because they've already killed off the character of Jeffrey Epstein. Let's ask this. This is going to be interesting. Is Jeffrey Epstein his real character? Was he born Jeffrey Epstein? Or was that just a character that they developed? It's a character they developed. Queen of Pentacles. He was well-funded. Well-funded. 6 of Pentacles. 6 of Swords. The exchange. They always knew this was going to happen. They always knew, back in the old spy movies, you'd have a little cyanide pill on you, and you'd bite down and, be dead in 3 seconds or less. You wouldn't have to worry about being tortured or anything like that. I do believe that there are some of these elite military operations that they do the same thing. I believe I'm correct on that. If there's any military personnel watching, tell me. That something about the lapel, and you just bite down on the lapel. This character that they developed for him was never supposed to survive. This character was supposed to be disposable. So if not this whole prison thing, it would have been a boating accident. It would have been a jet ski accident. Ski-doo, those ski-doos are dangerous. This character was not engineered for longevity. This character was engineered for a period of time. to gain the trust and to make friends with some of the hot diggity dog diggiest people on the planet. Now, I'm not saying that he was supposed to be some kind of folk hero. I'm certainly not saying that. But I do think that he was engineered to tempt the temptable and to thereby assume responsibility over some of their bank accounts. That is what his job was. His job was to be a fisherman. I think maybe we'll call him Giuffre the fisherman from now on. He was a fisherman. He was supposed to be catching and securing all of the big fish, and failed attempt with a few of them. We know that from Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who ultimately refused to go to the island with a bunch of girls, and then they kind of shaded him like he was just too nerdy to be there. Hello, Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking. I think Elon Musk is a bit cooler than them. But yeah, I think that, do we see the person that purported to be Jeffrey Epstein for some time? Do we see this person emerge again? Will we ever see this person emerge again? Six of Swords. No, this is the rescue. Now he has the information that they need, all of those videos, all of the stuff, all of the emails, all of the discussions, all of the testimony that he can give. That gives him power, but it does not give him safety. He is not safe as a result of this. The powers that be, the puppet masters for him, are still pulling the strings. And according to them, they can pull one really tight string very easily. So I do think that he was rescued by those powers that be. I think he was rescued by them. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on this one. But I don't think that he's going to emerge again. I don't think we're going to see Jeffrey Epstein show up as, you know, the next contestant on The Price is Right. So until something new breaks on that, we'll table it for a little bit. But I'm going to wrap up Mixtape Monday right now. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Keep your questions coming. I try and get to all of them. I can't get to all of them all of the time, but I pick the juiciest, most timely ones that I can. I do want to remind you guys to go over and visit Otter Spirit. You can see I've got my sensuality pack on both wrists right now after having a great romantic holiday weekend. The sensuality pack was one of the featured ones for the Valentine's Day sale. As always, my link is in the description and in my about section. You can go on over there and get yourself some intentional jewelry. Let them know that I sent you by using the link, and you can get 20% off by using Fortune 20 as your code. And you can get 30% off purchases of $99 or more if you use Fortune 30. And if you do that, you can get one of these amazing spheres. I got the obsidian sphere because I'm working on my scrying, which is crystal ball gazing. I have ADHD, so it's really hard for me to do in a clear ball. This obsidian stone is grounding me enough that I can focus, and focus I will, because there has been new information about Kurt Cobain. Some internet sleuths have been tossing around the information about the Kurt Cobain off-planeting, and they are coming to the conclusion through the autopsy report and some more information about the scene that it doesn't look like Kurt did that by himself. So I am going to unpack that for an upcoming Wicked Wednesday. I'm going to go into production right after this. So I'm not sure when it's going to drop, but if you are grunge fans, or if you are my age, Generation X, I think you're going to want to take a look at that because I am going to be doing some scrying for that video. So I'll do the scrying before, take some notes, and then talk to you about it when we get on there. So these spheres are amazing. They have them in a bunch of different crystals and stones. So go on over and check it out. Let them know that I sent you by using my link and use one of the codes so that you can save a little money while you're raising your vibration. So your bank account will stay high, your vibes will stay high, and you'll be able to get some pretty jewelry if you really just want the jewelry. So I'm excited to be working with this obsidian for the Kurt Cobain video. But as always, I thank you guys for being here. This is the #1 streaming platform on the planet. And I know there's a lot of psychics and card readers and crystal ball gazers and remote viewers on here. And I know your time is precious, and I so much appreciate that you choose to spend it with me. So I thank you, and I hope that you have a great week ahead. Keep your questions coming, and I will see you in the future.